We always want to hear from you, so on, please.
Here, how am I supposed to go? Ding, 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 ding. Do we stand for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Seems like it's been forever. Yay. Hey,
Turn your mic on, though. Turn your mic on.
Thank you. Sandy Rubin, Timothy Crutz, Sean Fitzpatrick,
Here.
Dennis Siebert,
Present.
John Morton,
Here.
Robert Birch, Barry Sarkeesian, Alfred DiPolo.
Okay.
Okay. Selena, Councilwoman Selena. Samir?
Present.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of September 25th?
Motion.
Second?
A second.
Okay. Comments from the public?
Technically, we
You have to call for a vote.
We have to vote on this.
Just say all in favor.
Okay. Reports from members of the board?
No, for the minutes.
For the
to approve.
minutes.
So just say, it.
Danny has all in favor. Say all in favor.
Okay, so we just,
Sandy, say all in favor.
oh, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
You can't vote twice.
Okay, so we'll just go down to Chris Marsh. Discussion of resolution number 1655.
Hello, everybody.
Good evening.
My first time presenting here. This is nice. So the purpose of the Infrastructure Surtax Oversight Committee is to review the capital projects that we have within that fund to make sure that they essentially are going to last longer than 5 years, is the gist of it. I provided you copies of the rules with the highlighted sections that you could review on your own. And I will scroll through them and make them available after this meeting for the public.
And then, Madam Chair, if you don't mind if I ask Chris a quick question. May I ask Chris a question?
Yeah.
If you don't mind real quick before we start the presentation, just to explain the surtax, where it comes from, what we get annually and what it funds. Just a quick synopsis, please.
Well, it's funded quite a few things in the past. Obviously, I have a list of what's out there now. It has done road resurfacing projects. It will be funding the recreation center, which is a large capital project for us. Put me on the spot for the past projects.
I just meant as far as, no, like it comes from the 1% sales tax.
It comes from
20, yeah.
Right, and essentially the municipality split a portion of the half cent. So the school board got half of the penny that you see, and that essentially there's an extra penny on your sales tax up to $5,000. Then it would go away after that. So if you have large expenses like a vehicle, only the first $5,000 of that vehicle would be taxed that extra penny, and then it would go to the regular rate. The breakdown is the school board gets half that penny, and then the other half is divided between the county and all the municipalities. And roughly, we've been receiving probably $2.5 million a year, I think is the number. And it actually will be sunsetting at the end of this year. So that funding source will run out, and the voters would have to choose to recreate it at that point. But it has been a great program for the village, and the reality is, because tourists that come to our county pay that tax, we're not actually funding the whole 1 cent, if you think of it that way. So it's been good for the village, in my opinion. These next sheets on the old school accounting paper is our actual expenditures that we made last year for you to review and make sure that the things we purchased fall within these guidelines. And should probably do this. That's better. So when you're bored tonight, you can go through those. And to highlight the changes, because the majority of the projects have been in there for several years. One major change is we pushed the road resurfacing project out to next year. So that project will not start until 2025. And then with the renovation and expansion of the rec center, we did add additional funding to that project, and the new estimated cost is about 14 million. And after Mark makes his changes, it should be.
I'm trying to keep it there, bigger and better.
And just giving an update on the progress of this project, we had an unfortunate incidents where the architect of record passed away. He was kind of a more or less a one-man show architectural firm. So we are at 60% design. We had projected to be close to being out to bid actually in February, but unfortunately because of legal matters and finding another architect to assume the design, we're looking at least 3 months of delay in design is where we're at with that. But we are working hard to come up with a solution and hopefully kick that off again and get it out to bid, because it is going to be a great asset for the village once we make those expansions to the building to add additional space, to have 2 gymnasiums over there and then room for lots of additional programming for all age groups. I think it's going to be a fantastic project once it's completed. And we did add resurfacing the sheriff office parking lot to the project. And the remainder of the projects were already in the previous capital improvement plans. So if you guys have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
A question with the rec center. Any way that we can do sliding doors instead of just opening or pressing for the handicap button?
As far as the main entrance you're talking about?
Main entrance and wherever they're putting in new doors for the seniors?
We do have the doors that open with the button.
Yeah, but I find the kids love to play with it.
It's on my list. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
It's a toy to them. So I was wondering if there's any way that now that a lot of places have sliding doors, it might be, and especially for handicap with wheelchairs, and might be easier.
We could definitely look into that. Yes.
My actual thought would be the impact sliders are just as heavy to push sometimes as the doors themselves. So,
And I don't think the energy efficiency is there with that unless you do double sets of doors, which creates another challenge.
I'm certainly not.
I'm far from one.
Thinking the automatic doors when you get to the point, like the
Yeah,
grocery stores, like.
Just like at a
Yeah.
grocery store, which
Yeah.
if you remember at the old Village Hall, we did have that. But it does exchange a lot of air every time those doors get open and closed. So you would need, most likely, just like at the new Publix, there's 2 sets of doors that you would go through, which
Okay.
does take space. So, but we certainly could look into that option.
Have we had many problems where it broke with the handicap button? Do you know? Does anybody know if there's been problems?
They're really, I mean, it hasn't been much of an issue, but the kids do play with it. I mean, it's natural. They see that button and they're going to push it.
Or they hit it and hide?
Yeah, they hit it and then it opens. I mean, they actually use it just like another door, you know, they open it, they walk through it.
Could it be higher?
Button,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's some type of requirements.
It's gotta be a wheelchair,
Yeah.
height.
Yeah.
No.
But like Chris said, you know, we'll look into it.
Thank you.
I do have a question regarding the pavilions at Commons Park. Do we have an estimated time when they'll be completed?
They are substantially complete and open to the public. We're within the next 2 weeks. They should have everything wrapped up contractually. That's
Okay,
our
and-
dates. So, and I know they're working hard to meet those dates. So
And then they'll be ready to start renting?
start rentals,
Okay.
yes.
Plan is to wait until West Fest.
Okay.
And then after West Fest,
Open them?
yeah, our rates we're all ready to go.
Okay,
You know, we got it in our system. There's a couple things that we're going to finalize, and then after West Fest, we think we'll be in a position where we can go ahead and
make them,
start renting them.
cool, thanks.
Any other questions?
Thanks, Chris.
Well, thank you.
You.
Thank you for your help.
In the morning.
Okay.
It's the Mark Show.
All right, so we're gonna save my time and introduction to myself to the end, okay? So my staff can leave and stuff, because they all know me already, all right? So we'll carry on with the business, and then at the end, I'll share some information about myself, and if you have any questions or comments, whatever the case may be, feel free to throw them at me at that time, so. With that being said, we'll just want to start reviewing our current projects, and, actually Selena just brought up about the corporate pavilions. So actually, me and Mike were out there just last week with a walkthrough. And so if you went out there right now, you could get into them. So it's just right now we have the sod all around them fenced off, but the walkways into the pavilions, I mean, they're quite magnificent. So our plan is actually, as Mike alluded to, that the plan is that we're going to use them for ourselves for West Fest first. And then actually a couple weeks later is Seafood Fest. So we might actually hold off until allowing for rentals until like we've used it twice first. And then we know if there's any problems or issues and stuff. And then that gives us a little bit more time but we'll probably start taking like rental arrangements, shall we say, probably just short of West Fest. So somebody's going to plan something a month out in March or whatever, then they'd be able to secure that and go through our permitting process for that. So, but if you haven't seen them, I mean, they're really the size of them for any large events, whether it be a big family gathering, quite honestly, or a business event would fit very nice in either one of those pavilions. So. The next one, resurfacing of the playscape. Mike?
Yeah, actually at Commons Park, we opened in 2012. Playscapes obviously get a lot of usage, so there's a lot of wear and tear on the play surface. So we're kind of doing it in phases. We're going to resurface them in phases. So the first one that's up is the west playscape. So that's just to resurface the turf. So that should actually be done probably within the next month or two. We'll go in and resurface the west playground.
And Mike, can you update them also on the lighting at replacement for the
Yep,
golf facility?
Sure. The golf facility at Commons Park, our practice facility, it's in need of new LED light fixtures. If you've been over there, it's pretty dim and can become a safety issue. So we actually have all of the material, all of the lights from Musco. It's actually a dual project. So the next one that's on there is Farron Park. We ordered both sets of lights for both of those facilities, and they're already on site. It just so happens that the contractor started at Farron Park. So we're actually underway at Farron Park, and I believe they're actually already have 2 fields out of 3 completed. So that was only about a month. So they're moving pretty fast on those.
So, yeah, so at Farron Park too, so like, we're going to start like our regular scheduled use will start in mid-February. So we should be ready to go. And I know Village took a lot of heat last year when those lights were out. So and then also the Parks Department, I had them out there at Farron Park skinning off the lip on all 3 of the fields. So that grounds work has been done and completed as well. So when the lights come on in February, we should be ready to go at full capacity out there.
And the lights, the infrastructure is staying the same, you're just replacing the elements or the.
Yep,
Pictures.
that is correct.
fixture
Yep,
itself.
just the fixture itself. It turns to LED. Yep.
It's another LED, so they'll be way more energy efficient as well. All right, next one is the fencing at Veterans Park around the playscape. That work is scheduled to start tomorrow morning.
Yep.
So we should see contractors out there. So if you drove by, you got 18 hours heads up on it and stuff. So.
And those
tomorrow
of
morning
you
they
that
should
are
be out.
familiar with veterans, the playscape sits right next to the road. So this is really something that needed to be done. It's going to allow for children to be on the playscape and not be a safety issue where they're running into the road.
May I ask a question on that? Are there multiple entrances and exit, or there'll be gate fences so you can come in from multiple areas?
Two
Two,
okay.
okay,
different,
Okay.
entrances. Yep.
Thanks.
All right, next one is Home Place Park resurfacing of the basketball court. That's been completed. And it lives over that way. You're certainly aware of that already. So, yeah, so. All right, Mike, you want to handle the next two?
Yep. I think you left off at Bob Marcello Baseball Complex, the resurfacing of the basketball court. Actually was done in the exact same colors as Home Place Park. So that's completed as well. Bobby Joe Lauder, that's the playground, the playscape just in the back of Commons Park. That's just something that we're going to go in and put a cantilever shade structure really to preserve the playscape, but also it's just wide open. There's no trees or anything at that park. So it's going to help, with the children and it being extremely hot on the playscape and the children also getting hot. So that's something that should be done. It's on order. Everything's delayed, but probably the next 3 to 4 months, that'll be completed.
The Cypress Hall, so that's the building that way, right? Yeah, so from up around that way, yeah.
That's the scenic route is around
Gotcha.
that way.
Oh, yeah, no, so I'm facing, I'm used to coming in that way.
Yeah.
That's the back, that's the front.
Yep.
Right out there, yes. So we're still, because so much of this work is still being done out in front, but then I'm sure the contractor will get into that building space too. But staff is already ready to go when it's done for a rental facility. So I don't really have a timeline on that yet, other than I know like even some of the work that's in there when they were doing the work out front, the power was cut to the building. So that prohibited some of the work. So they got to get this done first, restore the power, and then they'll be able to go into there. So it's obviously more important right now to make sure the contractor is doing this work here so we can have our grand opening for Village Hall on schedule at the end of February. This building's functional.
What's the capacity of that building?
What do we think, like 75-ish, maybe 100 if you're pushing it, depending on if it's like a family children's birthday party type of thing?
Yeah, 75 is sticking out in my head. I think it was
Yeah.
capacity of 75.
And then just real quick, and I'm not sure if either one of you are familiar. I know we talked about the dais is coming down, so it'll be one open space. The room in the back, so the doors will be gone. So there's that. But then is the AV room going to be used for storage?
Yep, AV room actually will stay as a AV
AV
room.
room.
Yep.
Okay, so for audio or visual stuff that they'll do it for the event.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, I mean, we really envision, so you're right. The dais is coming down. It's going to be a lot of glass overlooking the fountain.
Okay.
So we envision that it probably will be weddings and parties and things like that. But also the audiovisual room now currently, it will stay an audiovisual room so that you can connect Bluetooth audio. And then also we're going to add an additional TV. So there'll be multiple TVs that if you want to show a slideshow or something along those lines.
Okay.
And then there'll be hookups for a DJ or, small
Okay.
DJ type of thing. But it'll be really nice for small, intimate, weddings and those types of gatherings.
Okay. And then the kitchen area, is it going to be expanded? So there will be, I mean, there's obviously not a full kitchen capacity, but as far as a refrigerator, the sink,
Exactly.
the ice maker. Okay.
So they're going to add those, yep, ice maker, refrigerator. That room will stay because, again, we envisioned that if somebody was coming in as a caterer or something along those lines, they could set up behind the scenes and stay out of the way. And so again, that room will stay kind of as is, but just adding some of that appliances and everything.
All right, and then next item is the rec center renovations, which Chris alluded to. So we did have that little bit of a delay with getting the new architect firm online, but quite honestly, I tell people just to not get their hopes up, but it's like from today, 2 years, we should be in there because it's got probably an 18-month project because we are still going to be in the building space operating while the construction and expansion and remodeling is going on. So the contractor, whoever gets hired, isn't going to have the ability to work without working around us at the same time. So there's going to be some obstacles, and I can't really tell you what that is until, part of it will be when we get the new architect firm, in the project, get to the finish line of 100% construction documents out to bid, and then kind of setting a schedule for the contractors to what we expect for them to be able to complete the project. So when I have that, we'll be able to share that with all of you as well. And Chris is correct. I have put my 2 cents in because we're only at 60%. So, nothing major, nothing crazy, but just stuff from my own experiences and stuff like that that I feel like would help the building function better. And from what I've already gathered from what we're currently offering and what we could offer in the future as well. And then Crestwood Park North, if you drive up that way, you'll see that the contractor's out there on site. Most of the work right now has been the site utility work, the underground work. Some foundations have been poured, but that contractor seems to be on top of it. I've been in their monthly meetings with them. Every time I've driven by, there's always 6 to 10 people out there on site working. So that's a good sign that they're on pace to get the project done. So it's off to a good start. I guess, if there's any questions on any of these items, feel free to throw them out there.
What is the projected finish date of Crestwood?
I don't remember seeing like it was like in the fall. Is it in the fall? So, yeah. So hopefully earlier, obviously the good thing is you can use the park year round down here compared to where I came from. So, yeah.
It's kind of as much a possible suggestion, or maybe something that I see on Sundays. I play pickleball over in front of the rec center at the new courts. They're very nice. The basketball courts are usually full, and the pickleball courts are usually full, and the playscape has got children and families, and there is no bathroom facilities there. Now, there is, I don't know, I've never been there on Saturday, and unfortunately Monday through Friday, I can't.
Yeah.
But that seems to be a problem.
I agree. I think there's many people that agree with you. So part of the renovation for the expansion of the recreation center does include an outside bathroom. So, I mean, I know that you're talking, it's probably 2 to 3 years. So, if that can be something that we look at pushing up, I mean, it's something that we could definitely talk about. But we're definitely all on board with that, because even with all the traffic we have going on in the recreation center, when you have the skate park full, the playscape full, the basketball, they're all coming in, and it's just a lot of traffic for just the one set of bathrooms we have there. So.
You have to hold it till it's finished.
And even some of the families are just surprised because, Sunday's a day of recreation, and there's a lot of people there with no facilities.
Yeah, and then there's also in the plans, they have a connection from Katz Field parking lot that would actually connect into the recreation center. So there's obviously bathrooms. That's a pretty far walk. But again, there's bathrooms in the plans to put, adjacent to some of the things that you were mentioning, the pickleball courts and the basketball courts.
And I know what you're talking about because I've been over there on Sundays playing pickleball too, but I haven't had to use the restroom at all. So, but I'm aware of how much activity there is even on Sundays too. So, yeah. All right. Sandy, you ready to go on to upcoming programs and events?
Please do.
All right. We're going to turn this over to Mike.
All right. I'm Mike Mikolajczyk. I'm the Assistant Director, for those of you that don't know me. I'll give you an update on our programs, activities, and upcoming events. Obviously, this is not going to be an all-encompassing list because we do a lot of things here in Royal Palm Beach. But just to give you some brief updates, starting first with our youth activities and instructional classes. We're currently in our youth co-ed basketball league for grades K through 8th. It's held at the Recreation Center, and we have about 200 participants for that league, which is about 60 more than we had last year. So that just kind of gives you an idea. We are increasing in traffic and in participation. In addition to that youth league, we've had some interest in conducting a high school basketball league. We used to do that in the past. You know, everything goes in cycles, so it went away for a little bit. Seems like there's an interest, so we're going to try to do that immediately after the basketball season, probably around February, some time frame. We will also start our youth volleyball league around February, and that's for middle school student ages 11 to 13. You know, that age group is a tough age group to get participation. So we found that this youth volleyball league is something that they're willing to participate in, and they're very good quality leagues. So we're looking forward to that. In regards to some of our early childhood instruction programs, we're currently taking registration for our youth dance program, and that's ages 2 to 12. That program consists of tap, ballet, and jazz. That's held out of the Recreation Center as well. And we're also taking registration for Super Soccer Stars. That's for 18 months to 6 years old. And that program, it's not a league per se, but it's more of a skills and drills type of program for children to learn the basics. It's a non-competitive type of environment. And again, that's held at the Recreation Center. Our early childhood ventures and learning program with Miss Angie, that has just continued to grow and grow. She conducts preschool classes and VPK classes out of the Recreation Center. She was actually named one of the top rated preschools by the Palm Beach Post. So that was quite an honor. Preschoolers are able to register throughout the year, and VPK is currently enrolling now. And there is a time frame on that that you got to be enrolled by. We also have ongoing programs based out of Camellia Park, youth tennis, adult tennis. Our karate programs held at the Recreation Center, also youth and adult. And then we also have golf lessons that are ongoing over at Commons Park with our contractor, Glenn Beaver, with Beaver Golf. He runs a great program over there. And then just lastly, with youth activities, our primary sports providers. So they are providers that offer sports for us, such as basketball, baseball, soccer, and tackle football. We actually have boards in place that conduct these programs because they are so large. It's a huge undertaking. They're currently taking registrations for their spring season. So just to give you an example, youth soccer has 500 plus kids in their program, and they basically have cats at their disposal because it's such a large program. Moving on to our adult programming, we have our adult basketball league is winding down. We're in playoffs currently, and we have 8 teams in that league, approximately 80 participants. Pickleball is still very, very popular. We offer it in the gymnasium, as well as obviously there's outdoor courts that you mentioned, Dennis. But our indoor program has, it's Monday through Friday from 9 to 1, and we have over 100 participants for that program. Some of our ongoing fitness programs being held at the Recreation Center. We have yoga, total body conditioning. We also have an annual fitness membership that's available for residents and non-residents. And then I mentioned, again, for adults, tennis, karate, and golf at their respective facilities. Moving on to our senior programming, we have a daily congregate meal program provided by Palm Beach County that's held every day, Monday through Friday at the Recreation Center from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. But in addition to that, we also conduct activities such as board games, card games, bingo to coincide with that free lunch to allow the seniors to get, free entertainment and socialization. We have approximately 60 seniors that take advantage of that program on a daily basis. As most of you are aware, we have a Young at Heart Club. I know Sandy knows that, for ages 50 and over. We have approximately 275 participants, which is, that's a great number. After COVID, it's taken a little while to phase it back in, but we're going strong. I mean, very, very popular program. We conduct monthly lunches at the Cultural Center on the first Friday of every month for the Young at Heart. The themed lunches include a variety of catered food and entertainment. Our Young at Heart members also get to enjoy events and activities and trips as well. Our next Young at Heart luncheon is Wednesday. I'm sorry, our next Young at Heart event is Wednesday, January 24th, and that's Jukebox Bingo. That's at the Royal Palm Beach Cultural Center, and that's from 4 to 7. And then, and there's currently 80 participants enrolled for that Jukebox Bingo. The next Young at Heart luncheon is Friday, February 2nd, and the theme is for that is Valentine's Day, so everybody's going to be wearing red. And then just moving on, in addition to our Young at Heart Club, in our meal program, we also conduct seasonal events for our seniors. The next event that we have scheduled is, again, a separate Valentine's Day party, and that's going to be held on Valentine's Day at the Royal Palm Beach Recreation Center. We have 105 participants enrolled for that event. Some additional senior programs that we currently offer: senior chair yoga, silver sneakers conditioning. We have senior technology classes, oil and acrylic painting, knitting and crocheting, a book club, a writing club. And, as we grow with participation and then the renovation in the recreation center, we'll be adding more programs, more participation. It's just going to continue to grow. Lastly, for some of our special events that are upcoming, actually getting back to, we actually did run an MLK Day event in partnership with CAFSI. That was Monday, January 15th. Very successful event, 250 people in attendance for that. Concerts in the park, we run those the first and third of Friday of every month at Commons Park. The next concert will be on Friday, February 2nd, and that's the Matthew Curry Band. We're currently taking registrations for our annual Daddy-Daughter Dance over at the Cultural Center, and that will be held on Friday, February 10th from 6 to 8. That event includes entertainment, food, activities, and we already have approximately 25 couples for that event. Our annual 3-day West Fest event is coming up on Friday, February 16th, Saturday, February 17th, and Sunday, February 18th. It's a Western themed event that includes carnival rides, country themed entertainment, arts and crafts, train rides, pony rides. We have a beauty contest, beauty pageant, lumberjack shows, and obviously great food and much more. So
if you don't have plans for Valentine's Day weekend, West Fest would be a
we're
really
here.
good place to go.
We're here for you. What's that?
Do we have food eating
Competitions, like,
I thought you were going to do the beauty contest. So you're doing, you want to do the food eating? Oh, the food eating contest. Okay. All right. And then just wanted to again mention our Green Market and Bazaar is held every Saturday morning here at Village Hall, outside of Village Hall. But the market has produce and just about everything else you can imagine. It's held from 9 to 1, and they're here until the end of April. We work with POTTC, Pirates of the Treasure Coast, in partnership with that event, those events. But very, very popular. If you drive by on a Saturday, you'll see there's a lot of people here. And I guess just one more thing to mention. We have a United Way. We team up with them. There's a free tax service that'll be held at the Recreation Center. Starts at I believe next Tuesday. And that's a free tax service for any household that has an income $70,000 or less in 2023. So if you know of anybody, send them over. It's a great service. Yeah, April. It's mid-April, I think. Yeah, somewhere April 15th.
Are they CPAs or the
Yep.
tax people? They're
Yeah, they're real,
CPAs?
yep, yep, they bring in CPAs for, yep. That's a very popular program. We get a lot of people for that.
We've got a lot going.
Yeah, that was only, I didn't, and that was only a little bit, you know, but if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody? Questions?
I do, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just have a few observations I wanted to share about the local parks and everything. First of all, the basketball resurfacing at Marcel is fantastic. Thank you very much. The south rim is kind of tweaked a little bit, just, you're probably already aware, just letting you know. The new shade structure and playground features at La Mancha Park,
La Mancha, yep.
fantastic. Very, very appreciative. Back to Marcelo, the tennis court, the windscreens are all torn at the bottom.
Yes,
And I don't know if they need to be replaced or not, but
yeah, we're in the process of ordering them, but yeah, they're very expensive, but obviously we're on it. We've seen it, so yeah,
Yep.
thank you though.
we're there every week. So
Yeah.
And then if there's any possibility, there's like mildew on the court, around the
Yeah.
court, it gets slippery. So most importantly, at the rec center, we've noticed that in the evening when we go for basketball practice, the parking lot is really dark.
Right.
It just, probably doesn't meet code from a photometric standpoint. Could be a liability. High school kids are doing things out there that probably should be discouraged, that sort of thing. So, and then another a friend of mine who's a coach for younger kids mentioned that half of the lighting on the outdoor courts with the lower rims are not functioning.
Okay.
So one of the courts, it's kind of dark when they're practicing.
Okay.
One other thing, regarding basketball practice, I made a comment to the employees there about all of the kids shooting around during the practices being very distracting to the teams, and they handled it fantastically.
Great.
So I just wanted to make that compliment. And then finally, just for your consideration, the youth leagues, it's great. One thing that would be really nice is prior to publicizing the signups, having the date selected. Can be frustrating for parents who are busy not to know when evaluations are, when practices start, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So just for your consideration.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Selena?
I do have a quick question regarding our seniors. We were doing a program before, is if they came in for technology, had to download an app on their phone, they would get a ride share card or gift card. Are we doing that anymore?
No.
Okay. Was it just a lack of
Yeah.
participation? Okay.
I worked heavily on that project, and I think all in all, I think we ended up giving out like six gift cards or something. And so that was budgeted at one point in time. It's no longer budgeted, but.
Do you find that with the senior programs, is there still a need for ride transportation, or are they?
That was a big thing when that all came up, but
Right.
I haven't heard much about it. So I don't know.
Okay, any other questions? We're all so smart. Okay, if there's any.
I got one more item just to add, well, maybe two. So we don't really have nothing was in front of me as far as like what our meeting schedule cycle is for us. So I'd like to get something on the books with you guys while I got most of you here tonight. So for the future, so if we meet 4 times a year, so like every quarter, so I'm thinking like this January 3rd week seems like a good week. We're far enough away from the holidays. Then in April, if we could meet. So if we go 3 months after that, that's July. And again, does Monday night seem like a good night for most of you guys?
What's what it's historically been.
Okay, all right, so we'll stay with the Mondays. And then we get to November, we don't want to go to 3rd week in November. That's probably too late. So November, maybe we do earlier, maybe the first Monday in November.
Again, my recollection is historically, we were squeezing 4 meetings in like the first 8 months.
Like every other
And then
month?
sunsetting for the remainder of the year.
Okay,
If I'm correct, somebody.
Every
please
other month,
correct me,
didn't we
but
meet every
We
other
were
month?
not doing it
Oh, it's throughout the course of the year?
We were not, no. We're sunsetting after 8 months into the year.
So I think what we had is the summers off.
Summer off.
We would take the summers off. Yeah,
We had a break.
right. So maybe if we did them once a quarter, the first month of the quarter, then you're still doing the 4. I think we might have to do 5 a year per our, it has to be 5 a year. So maybe what we do is that, and then we might squeeze an extra one in somewhere. But I think the issue is getting away from the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays at that time where we're trying to have meetings.
But
But
there
at
were
least-
several that we did not make because there was no
We've had
quorum
problems
and,
Since
right?
COVID, there have been
Yeah, it's been no.
quorum issues.
So that being said, so if we're supposed to be meeting 5 times a year, it's a good thing we started on the first month. This one's done. Right? So we got to get 4 more in. So maybe March, April, and then we come back.
What am I thinking?
I don't know if July is actually, like you said, we took off summers. Maybe we come back September and early November. So after Labor Day and then early November, that would give us 5. So if we can go January, March, April, we're off May, June, July, August, or maybe March, early May. Does that seem okay?
Well, speaking only for me,
Yeah.
as long as I get a little heads up, but I'm always looking at the calendar anyway, that it usually works for me. I just need a little heads up, which I.
When are the busy times for all the rec stuff?
Yeah.
What would
Is that
they-
September?
What would
Is
they
that-
usually, historically, what have they been? And what months were they? Because I mean, I've been on the, we've been doing this, I've been doing this 10 years. I've never had this conversation. So I just get an email and I show up. So what months were they?
It was every other month.
It was every
Yeah,
other
it was
month, and then
every other
summer's
month,
off.
and the summer's
Yeah.
off.
So
So-
maybe we did January, April.
January, March, May.
I was thinking the first month of every quarter, just.
Oh, yeah.
We did January, April, July, October, those are the 4. And then if we needed September. Right, so then if we did September, because that's the bulk of when you guys are gonna get most of the rec stuff.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we do it January, April, July, September, October. And then after that.
This all came up because November and December are terrible months, and one of them is November, and it's like I think it's either right before or after Thanksgiving. It's just it's a bad date. We haven't met on that day in like 3-4 years, so that's, I mean, that would make more sense, what you just brought up, in my opinion.
Doing it.
The months that you just
That way,
mentioned.
or keeping that floater instead of definitely a September, Mark, just based on when you need us to come through. Because we are the oversight for the surtax as well. And if that sunsets, we have that removed from our plate. So it's not as though we have to, as far as giving the presentations and everything on that. I think it was just getting it on your calendars, that a time and date that works, so you know this far in advance when they are.
Send an email.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna go with the plan of, I'll find a date, I'll find a Monday in January, April, July, September, October. And we'll spread out the September, we'll go maybe second week. Obviously, the first Monday in September is Labor Day, so that's not gonna happen then, but maybe that following, and then October will go a little later, then maybe 6 weeks apart. So, okay. So then the next piece to this is several of you, your terms are up this March. So I'll be working with the clerk's office to reach out to each of you that your terms are up and understand what that process is of re-upping, or if your schedule is, you're not going to serve again, just so we know what vacancies we have and stuff like that. And then that has to come before council for approval for the,
Usually the process, yes, is that. And then if there are vacancies, if there are individuals who don't want to serve anymore, then Diane does, I think when there are opens,
Yeah,
Diane does
usually
have
lets
to-
us know.
yeah, you guys know whether you want to renew or not. And then Diane has to publish it in the newspaper publicly for 2 cycles, just so if there's anybody else who wants to apply, and then we go from, then it comes to council and I make recommendations on who to stay or alternates and move around.
And that's when officers are also,
I never remember
new,
that.
officers?
Yeah, when do we do renew? I think it is March
March.
that we'll
yes.
do the renewal then. So at that time, so then think about it is chair, vice chair as well.
So that would be appropriate then if we get these appointments done in March and then we have our next meeting in April. And we could take care of that business then, as far as positions on the board and so forth. So hopefully all you stick around, if you're eligible to stick around, you stick around with me. Okay, that didn't scare anybody off, all right?
I'm the tenured member on this thing. It's ridiculous. I want to change the young at heart to a higher number. I'm now 50.
I asked for special dispensation.
I just turned 50. I don't like that. And I now qualify for young.
You're welcome anytime. Yeah.
All right.
Women would eat you up.
Tell my wife.
All right.
She might give me away.
We don't have any other questions. So just real quick though, so I just share with you. So I've been here since early December. Mike and Eva have been two of my right-hand people through the whole process. So I wanted to thank them in front of you guys since I have them here amongst all my other staff. But anything I've needed or asked about, they haven't given me a look like, oh, you should know that, or why are you asking that? So they've stepped up and helped me in every instance that I've needed help with that. But I'm gonna let them go now because I don't think we need them anymore for me to introduce myself to you guys. So they can go on and
You're not needed, Mike.
yes, I will see you guys in the morning.
Do we want to, are we want to go off the air?
No, I don't care. That can be part of it.
Mark wanted to introduce himself.
Sure,
and-
yeah. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
Oh,
So so again, so Mark Pulowski is my name. So I'm from Aurora, Illinois is where I lived and pretty much grew up my whole life. So I came from the Winfield Park District where I was the executive director there for 27 years almost. I was just short of 27 years there. Before that, I was at Geneva Park District. So I had always envisioned that I could potentially finish my career in Florida and then be here to retire. The huge bonus for me and my wife is that both of our adult kids live in Miami Beach. So we're close enough, but far enough away that we can get together like every other weekend for dinner. And then they go home and we go home. So, but the, everything like when I did my homework too about Royal Palm Beach and what the facilities were and what the programs were. I watched these committee meetings. I saw how you guys got along and the questions that you had, and that out there was empty, which is always a good sign, right? Because most people don't come to give you compliments. They come when there's problems and stuff. So I would share with you, and I'm sure Lou was like this too, but you ever see something like this, or one of your neighbors says something to you about you say, you got to call Mark. Just call him, okay? So just pick up the phone, let me know. We'll deal with it so we don't have to wait 2 months, weeks, whatever the case may be, especially if it's something we can deal with quickly. And a lot of times there is things that we can make changes with regardless of how much staff we have, we still have to be reactionary to things. We don't have so much staff that we can totally preventative with every issue. So you guys are eyes and ears out there for us. And so is your neighbors. So that's how I view them. So that's one of the things I've always operated that way. I will give my cell phone number to anybody. So it is what it is. So I want to hear from people. And quite honestly, sometimes it's the easiest thing is just like they'll send me a message or call, say, can you take a picture and send it to me on my cell phone, right? Just that fast. That's the way things operate now. So we can deal with things that way. So I've always had a passion for parks and recreation, and I live the life. I like to golf, like I mentioned. Me and my wife play pickleball, and so I've had her even show up when I get off work. Can we go over there and play? Or we got there on Sunday, and we actually got lucky that there was one court open, and then the line started to form behind us. So we got our hour in, and then we went on our way. So right now I'm living in West Palm Beach. We're just renting a house for a year, and then I'll figure out where we're going to live because I didn't want that burden on me. I want to be able to focus on working and getting used to what we're doing and the staff. And so the fact that you guys are already in the works to do an expansion remodeling of the rec center is right up my alley. I literally just finished a $5.5 million recreation center expansion and remodeling. So I know what the pains are going to be. Because I just went through them of living in a building and working in a building while they're adding on to it and expanding it and remodeling and the dust and the rerouting of traffic flow and all those types of things too. So the other good things too about this village on the side of the parks is we have a ton of park space and there's almost always somebody in the parks, right? So people use the parks, the community supports the parks. Our rec center's got people flowing in and out of it every single day. It doesn't matter what time of day or night it is. There's people flowing in or out of there. So that's always a kind of an attraction to those people that are in the profession, that what they're doing is benefiting people. And so that's nice to see. I also used to be a high school girls basketball coach. So actually your comment about the kids shooting on the sideline, those practices going, that was one of my pet peeves about the next practice coming in. I didn't even want them in the gym and stuff. So like I would shush them out and keep them out in the hallway until, Correct. So yeah, so I was an assistant varsity girls basketball coach. So I'm a big person for equity as well, so there's no favoritism. Everybody gets treated with the same amount of attention and care on the way I look at things. So I guess I'll open it up to if you have any questions or.
What is your phone number, Mark? I don't
It
know.
is 630-309-3811.
That yourself, right?
Yep.
Hey, thank you.
In your email.
So it's, yeah, it's under M. Pulowski. It's at the Royal Palm Beach. Yep.
If everyone didn't get it, I'll ask Eva to resend it, but I think she sent your information out
Yeah.
to everybody, but I know we've had some new people, so just to make sure, but I'll ask her.
One quick question.
Yep.
I'm new to the board, but I in the last meeting, I got to meet Lou. And one of the things that I really like, and I asked him about this, if it was part of his philosophy or whatever. For example, the baseball fields unlocked so people can go practice.
Right.
To me, that's huge. You go to surrounding communities, they're locked when they don't have official practices.
Right.
You plan on keeping it that way?
I'm not planning on changing it. No, that is actually kind of one of those things that like, I dealt with this back where I came from. My maintenance guys, they'd go out, they'd stripe a ball field and they'd chase all the kids out of the park. I'm like, first off, kids are, and I'd be like, kids actually showed up on their own to play baseball? Why don't you just send them over to the fields you weren't using? Right? And then, or just have a good conversation, or you might have 7 parks or ball fields to take care of. Do this one last, because there are actually kids here playing, right? So like we don't want to like go against what our principles are. Like we're trying to create spaces for activity, and especially when they're doing it on their own. Now I get it if it's an organized team, that's a little different story. But if kids are actually willing to do something on the day, they're on their own. Now, and that being said, if we get the comment from from our provider groups that the chalk lines were all messed up and stuff, all right, we'll do our best to kind of.
Well, it would make
can help
sense if
that,
they're prepped
but-
for a game
but
that you wouldn't want.
Hopefully I
people
try to
on.
help them understand too. Well, that's because kids want to play ball.
Yeah.
They might even be some of your own kids.
Typically, 'cause I coached baseball here for years and years. They would stripe them late Friday night. They
Oh,
would lock them, and then they would open up first thing Saturday morning for the game.
Yeah.
And then they were open for the remainder of the weekend.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
That was the approach.
Yeah. No, I have no intentions of restricting use of park space. Yeah. So.
Anything else?
I've got nothing other than a motion to adjourn.
Yep. I was just gonna.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.